For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services. Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about Mortal? Stick around and find out. Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of Mortal. The synopsis on IMDb reads, Mortal is a fantasy adventure origin story, about a young man, Eric, who discovers he has godlike powers. The sentence goes on, but I'm cutting it off there because it gives away a little too much. While hiding in the wilderness of western Norway, Eric accidentally kills a teenager in an inexplicable way and is subsequently arrested. Before being interrogated, he meets Christine, a young psychologist trying to figure out what really happened. She believes Eric and feels sympathy with him. Soon, the American embassy shows up, wanting Eric extradited, but he manages to flee with Christine. On the run, with both Norwegian and American authorities after him, Eric finally discovers who or what he really is. Okay, so let's talk about what this animal basically is. I think on IMDb or elsewhere, maybe it was the Wikipedia page for it, it's described as like an action fantasy. No, don't go to this for action. It's a fantasy drama, and it's a serious and moody, but sometimes, unfortunately, in my estimation, just plain slow, and that was a shame. But it has good performances, I thought, from all the cast members. Then again, it doesn't have a lot that's defining the characters and fleshing out their backgrounds and their motives and things like that. It's about 50-50 English and Norwegian, so you need to be comfortable with subtitles to at least some degree while you're watching this movie. Most of the movie involves Eric and Christine on the run, sorting out how to control his powers and where they come from. So road trip, fantasy drama type of thing. I thought that as far as the cast goes, very solid acting all around. Lots of shots are silently used to let the actor performances carry the scenes, but again, I would have liked the characters themselves on the page to be fleshed out more. Backgrounds, values, motives, so that I could understand where they're coming from and decide how I feel about their struggles. As far as the visuals go, I thought they were pretty solid. I would compare them to kind of like premium streaming TV show quality. They're not super frequent. It's not a special effects extravaganza, but when they showed up, I felt like they did a good job, and they were about as convincing as you would find in a lot of theatrical movies, and certainly, I think, on the same level as I said, premium streaming TV shows. As far as like the relevance, is there anything of moral, philosophical, or spiritual significance going on in this thing that might stimulate some worthwhile thought or conversation? I think that once the credits roll, yes. There's I could kind of see where the story was going, which was kind of unfortunate, but it ends in a place that casts a different light on a number of things that happened in the story leading up to the end. There is one character that is from the American embassy and is trying to figure out, what to do with this guy Eric and these crazy powers that he has that are freaking people out. And she's taking a pretty aggressive approach and remarks at one point, what's going to happen when he doesn't represent Christian belief or Muslim belief or represent something else entirely. The idea being people are going to freak out. They're going to react in a very dangerous way. The destructive power of emotions is, I think, brought out in this movie, and the value in controlling them. Well, maybe it's not brought out by the movie itself, but I think that there's easily a springboard to talk about that after watching this movie. And there are just other issues that, to mention them, would spoil the movie to talk about them. What I will say is this is a religiously charged movie, especially once the credits roll, with belief in God being relevant to a chief character. And there's also a remark about Jesus that, is kind of offhand and is a little bit of a punchline, but I think it takes on greater significance in light of the film's final moments. So I think there's definitely some things to think about and ponder, again, once the credits roll. Now, I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, I would almost say skip this one, but I mean, it's pretty slow, has characters that could have been fleshed out more for your taste, a lot more, and there's a reveal that you could see coming very early on, but it still has good performances, and it does take a turn at the end that makes the rest worth sitting through for you. It goes from, in those final moments, being a movie you thought you would kind of forget and just not think about again, to a movie that you are left a little stunned by and definitely have some things to think about. Just wait until it's free on a stream or on a streaming service that you already pay for. It's rated R for brief violence, and it's been a little while, but I do have a spoiler car video coming out today for patrons of the $5 tier and higher at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions, and then I'll put it out on the CGC YouTube channel a few weeks after that. But anyway, there's a lot. I think my spoiler video might be longer than my review video because there's a lot I had to say after the final scene and the credits started to roll. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell to stay connected. I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. For more information about the benefits of becoming a Spirit Blade Insider, you can visit patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. And then, of course, I hope you'll join us soon over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. The Christian Geek Central podcast is the longest-running podcast for Christian geeks with over 600 weekly episodes and counting, featuring audio versions of much of the same content you'll find here, plus exclusive content including weekly news updates from the creators of Christian comics, novels, and video games, debriefing and commentary about what I've been playing, reading, and watching, and my expanded responses to your comments and questions via YouTube, email, or the Christian Geek Central forums. And now, with timestamps, so you can jump straight to the segments you want to hear most. Get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services, and enjoy one more way you can geek out and seek the truth.